Hello, everyone. John Bruna here with the Daily Quote. Let's go ahead and get right to it. Today's quote is on acceptance. Acceptance does not mean approval. It means that we have stopped resisting reality and can focus on improving the situation and ourselves. So easy to confuse acceptance with approval. But actually, until we accept something, we can't even begin to improve the situation or change ourselves. There's an incredible amount of mental and emotional suffering that goes on with our resistance to accepting the reality of a situation, of the news of the day, of something that's going on in our own lives. And a slight shift to acceptance, well, it becomes quite empowering. Acceptance is about really coming to the current reality of the moment. And in that moment, the quicker we get to acceptance, the less suffering we have, and the more empowered we become. Just a little example that happened to me just the other day, actually. And I was moving some websites. So we have a few websites, and we have our main one, and I've moved it to a different host. And so I was going back to the old host and deleting a website. Okay, it's now up, it's running. And so I want to delete it from the old host. So go through the delete process. It asks you, do you really want to do this? Of course I do. Hit delete. And right after that, I realized I deleted the wrong website. I deleted our main website, and it's gone. Now, in that moment, there's a moment of, wow, I just deleted our main website. And we're right in the process at that time of offering a course, and people are trying to sign up. So here's this moment of, what did I just do? And so here, can we get to acceptance? Taking a few breaths. Okay. Hitting the reality, I actually did this. Questioning, how did I do that and not delete the actual website I was trying to? Taking a couple deep breaths. Well, the reality is, okay, what do I do now? And so, brief few moments. I have to rebuild a whole website. Do we have the information? And then sitting with it, just absorbing what happened. Then I'm able to check, okay, what happens when you delete a website? Let me go to the hosting site. Let me do a little research. Turns out that the host site can bring your website back up from an earlier backup, even though I couldn't do it since I deleted it. You just pay them a little bit of money, I'll pop it back up, and then I have a person that can do the settings for me. So in one moment of kind of shock and awe, to within a few minutes later, having the opportunity to be in solution, and within a couple hours having the website back up and functioning properly. The difference between getting the news, having the shock, to moving to empowerment is about acceptance. And this plays out with death. It plays out with diagnosis, news that we get about our body or our diagnosis, something that we might get some news of things that we need to deal with. The resistance of the news, maybe a cancer diagnosis, is a lot of suffering. The embracing of this news in the sense of, this is my new reality. Doesn't mean I like it, but it means that, okay, how do I proceed? Is there a cure? Is there something to work on? Is it incurable? If it's not, how do I want to live while I can live? And do I want to live in suffering and regret, or do I want to live in a way that's meaningful while I can? Everything moves to acceptance. and then we have empowerment. We do not have control over how the world should turn out. We don't even know how it should turn out. And we've got a lot of news going on in the world, a lot of things we don't like, a lot of things that create damage and harm in people's lives. And we don't know how it should turn out. If we look at our own lives, we'll find that in history, just even in our own life, different government situations have happened, different atrocities have happened, things have unfolded that we don't like. Life's messy. Life is messy for everyone. And our suffering often comes from a belief that our life or others' lives should not be messy. There's a lot of suffering in that, which is discordant with reality. If we look at our lives, there's always been suffering and struggle. If we look at the lives of others, there's always been suffering and struggle. As a matter of fact, that's why we have hospitals, that's why we have first responders, that's why we have auto repair shops, cars break down. Life is messy. People die. People struggle. Relationships, we have actually marriage and family counselors and therapists. We have drug addiction treatment centers. Life's a messy business. And in that messy business, there's a lot of strength and resiliency and well-being, compassion, and healing. All of which is available when I understand that life is actually messy. And once I understand it's this messy business, it's usually no longer very difficult. That's from Scott Peck, actually, Road Less Travel. Once we understand life is difficult, we transcend that difficulty. Our big suffering comes from thinking our life should not be messy. If we can just shift that to, I don't want my life to be messy, that's already empowering. Thinking it shouldn't be is where we struggle. Understanding that life is messy is where we're empowered. All kinds of nonsense happens in our lives and all kinds of tragic events. But also, if we look more deeply, a much greater degree of amazing things happen in your life every single day that we take for granted because we're focused on something we think shouldn't be happening. We don't recognize what is happening in our lives today and the incredible opportunities we have each and every day with our friendships, with our relationships, with the choice that we have in our life, with the things that we get to do. There's a day that's awaiting us that's filled with opportunities to live skillfully, to show our compassion, to help others, to do things that are meaningful. And often, our resilience, our character, our strength, our compassion arises as a wisdom having walked through some of the difficult things in our lives. The quicker we can get to acceptance, the quicker we get to empowerment. It has nothing to do with liking a situation. Matter of fact, it might just give us the opportunity to change a situation.